Very good morning to you and welcome to Daybreak Benue on Benue Television. Today it's another day and we have come your way to bring you a lot that is happening in Nigeria. We shall also take a look at a very sensitive aspect of your livelihood, in your places of work, and other environments and communities. We'll talk about data management and protection. This is what has given several organizations a lot journey of data management and protection. What needs to be done across organizations and at individual levels and all and sundry. Well, my name is Japhet Kwahom.
Good morning, the big family. Welcome to the Wednesday edition of the show. My name is Maureen. I hope you had a restful night. Good morning, Japhet.
Good morning, Maureen.
How are you?
Why were you reserving that smile? There is always one smile for me in every morning.
All right.
So,
okay.
yeah, it's not negotiable.
All right, noted. How are you?
It's beyond your control. Very fine. I hope you're good too.
I'm good.
Well, it's good to be here with you this morning as we are set to talk to Nigerians about what's happening across, the different spaces we have in the country. Now,
Yes.
let's first of all take a look at the most pressing issue. Some young people, some Nigerians,
Drum roll.
yes, have rolled their drums that
Yes.
come August, they would hit the streets in protest for the hardship that is being experienced in the country,
Yeah.
for the misnormal, the ups and downs, and the economic, peppering. That's how one, yes,
Yeah,
the
no,
economic
truly.
peppering that is
Economic
there.
peppering.
It's taking place all over, and on the other side, the president too is assuring Nigerians that he's on top of the situation and is beginning to show some signs. Indicators are showing that Mr. President is really and truly working. I don't know whether you, what's your take on this?
Well, you are saying the president is on top of the situation and showing that he's actually listening to the people. Yes. At the same time, he's also saying that the protest is part of sinister moves by a select group of people to, give his government the bad name. He said this in an interview with BBC yesterday.
Yes.
And in as much as you would look at it and say, okay, maybe he might have, probably a point there. It still, points to the fact that actually, like you said, there's economic peppering. Nobody can deny that. Even our, let me leave that one aside, but nobody can deny that. And the fact of the matter remains that there's a planned protest. So it's not for me, it is not the part of ascribing it to sinister moves. No. The truth of the matter is that there is so much discontent in the land, and as a sitting president or as the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria at this point, yes, you have the right to have your own views, but at this point, because of the way things are, I do not think that ascribing it to a select group as part of sinister plans to rubbish his government, I don't think that carries weight right now. I don't think that should be his focus.
But on the other side, you remember what's playing out. What we are trying to look at here is that politicians should stop playing politics with every situation. Now, there is another back and forth between Onanuga and, of course, Peter Obi,
Labour Party.
the flag bearer of the Labour Party.
Yeah.
In the last election.
And this is not the first time.
It is not the first time. And I like the way Peter Obi approached the matter. As at yesterday, he spoke openly on national television when he said he's threatening that in 72 hours, that's about 3 days.
Yes, 3 days.
Onanuga should retract his statement made on, I think we monitored Arise television.
Yes, it was Arise, and I think he posted, and he also posted it on his Twitter handle.
Yes, on his X handle. Yes, he did that. And so,
handle,
yes, it's still the same.
Yeah.
So now, there is the way Peter Obi came up with this. It shows the man understands the tenets of the law. He has threatened Onanuga with a 5 billion naira lawsuit on libel and defamation, because this was also carried in the papers.
Yes, it was.
So now, and on the other hand, Onanuga has said he's not going to retract his statement. So we want to watch how
this plays, right?
Yes, we want to know how the drama is going to unfold. But the truth of the matter is that we don't have to play politics with issues of biting economic effect felt by the citizens of this country.
What I find worrisome is that this is not the first time it's happening. Bayo Onanuga has always, like when Labour started this agitation for the minimum wage, Bayo Onanuga threw the gauntlet straight at Peter Obi, saying that Peter Obi was the one who was spearheading all of that agitation for a review of minimum wage. Come on, you are the special advisor on communication and strategy. This should not be how you go about things. This is not how, this is not how to protect, or let me say, show your loyalty to your principal. Yes, you have a loyalty and all of that to your principal, but let's call a spade a spade. Why are you always throwing the gauntlet at Peter Obi?
Yes.
And this sinister move at a select group is Peter Obi. That is what is referring to.
Yes,
So,
and you also, he stated clearly that some opposition elements. Now let's look at this the matter this way. Recall that on the issue of Ali Ndume as well, Onanuga reacted.
yes,
Now, we are not against your reactionary approach to issues,
of course.
but this should be based on facts.
And we should,
What are the
we should
evidence
try
that you
to
have?
do that logically
Yes.
as well.
And even if you are suspecting the man Peter Obi or any other opposition element, because I think when they're talking about this, the names that will always come in mind is Peter Obi and Atiku Abubakar.
Of course.
Now,
But more of Peter Obi than Atiku.
yes,
More of Peter
yes.
Obi
Now,
than
now
Atiku.
let's take a look at it this way. If you are suspecting that these people may have a hand in this, call them. Peter Obi is always open to discussions.
For sure.
There is no way you will call Atiku Abubakar
And he will not show.
and he will not show up because he's
Definitely.
interested in conversation.
Yes,
Yeah, he's interested in open criticism. So we want Nigerian politicians to leave the issue of
Always
bringing
playing
in
politics
with
with
every
very
situation.
sensitive
This is a
situations.
sensitive matter.
It is.
But I love the way Mr. President reacted to the situation. He spoke himself. This time it was beyond asking the spokesman to come react or give a statement. He said he has heard their voices. The same way he spoke during his inaugural speech. He said, "Youths, I have heard your voice, and we're working." You can see the level of acceleration of the
passage of the
national minimum wage.
bill, right? At
And
at
then
the upper and lower houses.
yes, and now he has made it in such a way that it can be reviewed after 3 years, not as against 5
years.
years that was constitutional in the past.
So what I would like you to not give it up to him. There's some level of sincerity and commitment to actually
Yes.
trying to tone down the economic peppering that
Yes.
we are going through.
And
at
and
the
we
moment.
also we are not praising Mr. President.
No, we
there
are
are
not.
times we sit on this television
Definitely.
and we say we
Definitely.
do
Call
constructive
a
criticism
spade a
of
spade.
what Mr. President is doing.
Yeah.
Remember that the 20 trailers of rice to be distributed across the 36 states, including the FCT,
Yeah,
is ongoing.
it's ongoing. Yeah.
So, but what Nigerians are saying is, Mr. President, we are too many to be fed with trailers of rice. We need a better economic situation.
And that's just short term. We're looking for long term solutions.
Now,
That's
to
just
me,
short-term.
it's going contrary with the move by this Mr. Cardoso, that's the CBN governor. He has come up with a policy again. Interest rate has been raised from what it was to 25.75. Now I'm beginning to ask, what are we benefiting from jacking up the interest rate when the economy is going? I'm not an economist.
Yeah.
Yes,
get
but
the
I
point.
keep wondering,
Yeah.
won't this bring more hardship to the people?
And interestingly, Mr. Cardoso always keeps, every time this interest rate is always jacked up. His position is that our foreign reserves are, increasing by the month. The foreign reserve is not the issue. Let me say this. If you look at what's happening to Dangote refinery, I'm not, Dangote has not paid me to do any advertising for him, so
Yes.
please note that. If you look at what's happening to Dangote refinery, the position of the fuel subsidy river was that we're going to open a market and we're going to allow private people to come and set up refineries so that we can bring down the price of fuel and make it readily available.
Yeah.
Now Dangote took his time and effort to amass to invest that much of his wealth into putting up a refinery, and then all of a sudden now we have the federal government through this agency saying that the sulfuric content of fuel is way more than enough. I mean, it's way higher than it should be. And then this is the same Cardoso who is jacking up interest rate because he needs a foreign investment portfolio. Now we're looking at foreign investors and they're looking at all of this. Do you think if I am someone who's outside Nigeria, I wouldn't want to come and invest my money in the country when all of this is going on?
But we have to put the record straight. The federal government is denying that it has not directed any of the NNPC personnel to come up with a statement.
It came up in the papers.
Yes, that the Dangote product is not up to the standard of what is being imported.
It came up in the papers. So somebody is pushing somebody.
Yes, but of course we know that good things cannot just come easily.
Definitely not.
Dangote himself is prepared for the infight. He knows that government is going to fight, and other actors and players in the oil industry will also fight, because suddenly we're not having any of the government refineries functional. And suddenly an individual has come up with a mega refinery that is ready to reel out,
about 650 barrels of
barrels
fuel per
per
day.
day. So it's quite amazing.
Yes.
And so you naturally would expect that people would fight, but the fight is going to come to a point where everything will be calm. Dangote should be focused on what he is doing, and with time Nigerians would appreciate.
I believe he is.
And to this, Peter Obi reacted.
Yeah.
He said the gift of a refinery bettered by Dangote is too precious,
to just,
toy with.
Toy with.
And so we should go toward the line of development and growth, and not the line of pulling down
syndrome.
the syndrome.
Yes, and just like you said about the interest rates, Dangote, Peter Obi, not only them, even Tony Olumelu have spoken continuously about the need to actually bring down the interest rate, because at this point in time, they are looking at ways to, foster savings, increase SMEs, and they are jacking up the interest rate. Who is going to make loans? Who is going to get loans? So, like you said, there seems to be a counter policy against what the president is trying to do from the end of Mr. Cardoso. So I'm hoping that he will sit down and have a rethink, because at this point in time, we don't really need the interest rates going up.
Yes.
It's not going to serve us any good.
Yes. And so we should move away from the back and forth and all of that. Let us try to embrace competition. A healthy economy is one that is embodied with some level of competition. It's not only Dangote that has the wherewithal to come up with a refinery.
We have a lot of people.
We have a lot of people, who can come up with refineries, and also other, companies that will better the lot of the Nigerian people. If you think Dangote is doing exploit, you can also do it. So let's embrace competition and, stay away from hate, so that we can grow our Nigerian economy. I think we'll have to go on a break so that we will pave the way for our guests to be on seat, so we can begin the conversation. Please stay with us.
Benue Fashion Show Season 3 is here.
It's that time of the year for fashion designers, entrepreneurs, and fashion enthusiasts to shine.
This year, sale of forms for the competition begins from 15th April to 30th June 2024.
Pick a form at Benue Television, located at Special
Welcome back to the program, and this is Daybreak Benue on Benue Television. Remember, we told you from the beginning of the program that we'll be taking a look at a very vast area when it comes to technology. That's infotech, information technology, and the data management and protection issues that we have always faced in Nigeria. We have an expert and a consultant in the house who is going to do justice to this very important topic. We have Engineer Dr. J.S. Obeya, who is an IT consultant, and he has got lots of experience to share with the Benue people and Nigerians that are watching us this moment. We'd like to welcome you to the studios of Benue Television.
Thank you very much.
Yes, it's indeed a warm pleasure having you here, as there are several questions that we shall be here to ask on behalf of the public. First, the topic is quite a broad one, and as an expert consultant, I would want you to shrink it so that it makes, a refined meaning to the people. When we talk about data management and protection, what are we actually talking about?
All right, thank you very much. Data management and protection. I think I will begin first, maybe in trying to talk about data management.
Sorry.
We know that information as it is, right, cannot exist without data, and it is this data that really processed into information, and so these data are vast and available everywhere. And today, data that is generated is so vast and so much than it was before, because of the advent of social media and the rest. And this data exists in several forms, and we call something unstructured data. This data is not the one that you can say, all right, let me manage it and then structure it in a way that you can store it. This data appears in the form of audio, video, and just name it. Every kind of information is generated today, and all right, data managers, they have trouble in managing it. You cannot manage data when you don't know even the data that you have in store. So because this data is so vast and much, we really have issues trying to manage it.
Yes. Now, having issues trying to manage it, does it mean we do not have, the first-class facilities that will be able to manage data, or they are too expensive for us to acquire, or the managers of data are overwhelmed and could not handle them?
Okay, first, I think resources, technologies, all right, the resources that are deployed into acquiring technologies that can manage data effectively is not there now. And also, like I mentioned before, the volume of data being handled is such that it cannot be managed easily unless with lots of, maybe activities on that data. We have data processors and we have also data subjects. And there are laws also that, guard against, that are there, all right, that is available on how data should be managed.
Yes.
So information about this is not even available to some.
Can you make reference to one of them?
Okay, well, okay.
One of the laws, yeah.
So, like, for example, Nigeria have a data protection law, all right, that was enacted last year, 2023, early. And this data has to do, this law has to do with how data should be managed, and if also there is any kind of breach on it, what the data processor should do and what the data subjects also should do. All that is also available there. And also this law that is enacted is also meant to checkmate, all right, maybe violations of data usage and the rest.
It's all right.
Okay, now having spoken, quite extensively about data management and protection, what do you think is the main challenge in Nigeria? Because according to a statistic data that's from last year, 38% of Nigerians do not have access to the internet. And let me put it this way: data seems to be the new oil of this millennium. So how do we get to bridge that digital divide where we have Nigerians having more access to data and as well as internet services? Because they need it to grow politically, socially, and economically as well.
Yes. All right. Thanks so much. Can I say the challenges? All right, as it is with data, first and foremost, is still going to be the volume of data. How to manage it is so vast. Like I mentioned earlier, you discover that the data that is required of maybe citizens and the rest, or whoever the data subject is, once it gets into the data processor's hands, the data processors will need to process this data to the extent that breach will not occur. And once breach occurs, then there's going to be a problem. And there's this issue with confidentiality, integrity, and the availability of data. You know, you having to need your data and for it to be available at the time you need it is so important. And you will require a lot of management of data to be able to make this available, including the technology that is also used to manage this data. So I think one of the challenge as it is to guard against breach is that confidentiality, that integrity, and then that availability of data when the data subject needs one.
Okay. You still haven't answered the question when it comes to the digital divide. A lot of Nigerians, even though it seems everybody is carrying a smartphone now, but you can agree that those in the rural areas mostly are handicapped in that they are cut off away from enjoying internet and other digital services. So what do you think can be done? Because from what you have said right now, I think the major problem has to do with the data processors and technology.
Yes.
So it seems like Nigeria is not at that point where we have that requisite technology to be able to manage and also ensure that people have a lot of access to data. So how do you think that the government can better come up with ways to ensure that more Nigerians can have access to data in such a way that is affordable, and not only that, also takes into cognizance that technologies are changing, so they need to be up to date and up to speed.
Yes, okay. All right. Well, on the part of government, I think they should the environment, all right, whereby this data has to be made available, all right, also need to be expanded in the sense that the reach, all right, maybe to the interiors and the rest also have to be broadened in a way that even the common man can have access to it. So that's the part I see in it, and whatever it is, all right, that's environment that is supposed to be created needed to be done deliberately. Yes.
It's all right. Now, Engineer Bear, I would want us to take a look at the practical aspect of our discussion here.
Okay.
Several times we have had government organizations cry out that their database is hacked. Several times we have government complaining of issues of ghost workers. And if there are issues of ghost workers even at the federal civil service, it shows that our data base is porous. Does it mean we do not have the technical know-how to protect what we have in terms of data, or it's on the facilities that we have issues with? What really is the problem with the system in Nigeria when it comes to database?
Okay, when it comes to database, I'll begin from the fact that the assets that we have, which of course part is for data, all right, this data is valuable, just like any other asset is valuable, and whatever is valuable to you, protect.
Yes.
Now, in the course of your trying to protect, you need to build security round about what you value.
Yes.
Because of course they are actors, threat actors that went maybe to infiltrate maybe your database in order to acquire the asset that you have for their own purpose. And this risk that is available, all right, that is that is enabled by our threat actors, all right, in order to impact maybe our security to get to get access to our data and the rest. You discover that the resources, the technology that is available, all right, I think in Nigeria we seem to maybe like to de-emphasize those areas. So I think that we should improve more by, investing in technologies that will protect this data, and that is what is lacking in Nigeria. We can put up all the IT infrastructures and the rest, but once the technology to protect the data is not there, of course, the threat actors can actually have access to it.
Yes, I quite understand, but let's take a look at, for several times in Nigeria we have heard that JAM's database is hacked. Now, when we're talking about this, let's talk about the place of data security here strictly.
Okay.
You know that when we're talking about this, we have encryption,
Yes,
we have data control.
of course.
Does it mean Nigeria is still learning in the business of data security? Because the number of times we hear of people, even some banks, their database, most of the times we hear they are hacked and
Yes.
all of that. So what are we doing wrongly that we still have a porous data system? That's exactly what I want to know.
Okay, well, I do not think we are doing something wrongly, at this point. You see, for example, cybersecurity is an emerging discipline that is catching up on Nigerians. And once this security is not available as it is, people can take advantage of it. And that is what is actually going on now. That people, the knowledge, all right, of data protection has not really caught up with Nigerians. So we can actually make available even data when we should not, be. And in Nigeria, I think in Nigeria we are amongst the countries that make this data so much available, even when, all right, it's not requested, either on the internet or everywhere.
No, the availability is not even a problem with
Yes,
Nigerians,
yes.
because from research we've understood that the data we have is underutilized.
Yes.
That is understood. The problem is how to mount security controls roundabout, just like you said.
Yes.
We would like to know, what are other nations doing? You hear of Yahoo fraudsters breaking into the bank. It's not physical breaking into the bank.
Yes.
There are things they do. It means they have the technical ability to break or hack
Of
into a
course,
system.
of course.
Now the question is, are there collaborators within such systems where such a database is hacked, or is because they do not have a strong security to protect the data available?
Okay, we should not forget that, all right? Threat actors are intelligent people, highly skilled people that are capable of doing a lot of things, of which data protectors, data managers, data processors are supposed to match up with. And that awareness of data protection is not catching up yet with Nigerians. We want to protect this data. How to protect it? By creating that awareness. For example, maybe in an organization where you could train your staff, all right, on data protection. Cyber security awareness is not there. And once it's not there, people can actually offer any information that maybe is requested from anywhere, and these things are no longer protected. And I also know that whatever it is, maybe a threat actor will not go and infiltrate maybe an organization without first of all learning about the organization. And that is the process where this, if you like, we can tell me hacking, where it takes place first. The information that is available is easily acquired, all right, by threat actors through insiders and the rest.
Yes.
Yes.
But it's difficult. We've never heard of a central bank data system being hacked. For a very long time, we've never heard of such a thing.
Yes.
Why is it always with the commercial banks? I'm using these examples because
Yes.
this is where it happens the most. Why is it so?
Insider attack. In cybersecurity, we call attacks, certain attacks, insider attacks, and these insider attacks are perpetrated by insiders. So it's possible. I cannot, pinpoint maybe, or cannot say particularly that. Look, this particular area, they are diverse. So it's not only in one area, but definitely, maybe a threat actor cannot hack a system without first of all having information about that system.
Talk to us about the structure. What do we need to have in place to have a stronger data security Some other nations have launched their satellites. They have facilities that are monitoring 24 hours what they have. Nigeria doesn't have even one.
I think Nigeria is on its way to having.
We had one during in the 90s when President Olusegun Obasanjo launched one and it disappeared into space. To date, we do not know where it is. Until now, Nigeria, as a giant of Africa, doesn't have, a satellite base where we can mount security around our country. So, without all of these facilities, can we still boast of having a strong data system?
Yeah, we can still boast of having a strong data system. It's not that you must even own, all right, the technology that maybe you can use to protect the system. It's not that, okay, let me give you an example. Today, all right, people are moving to the cloud. They say the cloud, and the rest. And that is the end thing. Where, organizations that have the wherewithal can manage and store this data and manage it and protect it for you. So Nigeria should go that way instead of trying to acquire their own, maybe, servers or their own IT infrastructure within an organization.
So you prefer Nigeria should depend on other nations instead of having the independence in terms of data system or protection?
No. Nigeria can acquire its own.
Yes. So what's wrong about it?
There's nothing wrong about acquiring, your own system to protect and then also to manage your data. There's nothing wrong with it.
Okay.
Yes.
I still like to weigh in on. I beg your pardon. I still like to weigh in on cybersecurity because my colleague is mentioning some critical things. He mentioned data encryption as well as data control. When he, posed the question about the NICOMSAT, which is a Nigerian satellite, the little I'll be able to gather is that satellite is going to be obsolete in 2025. So there are already expressions of interest in terms of trying to get another one. Now, in as much as you mentioned cloud computing as well as cloud data storage, which is the in thing now. Don't you think that a system where Nigeria has, or let me say, a situation where Nigeria has its own internal servers, because in as much as the cloud data storage is, is advisable, there are also, like you said, threat actors. One thing can lead to another, and then we might have data breaches. So don't you think a situation where Nigeria has its own internal servers, or let me say, IT servers, is more, more in its interest than just banking on some individuals? Don't you think that is better?
No, it's still okay. Having your own IT infrastructure is also good, and I think there are more advantages to it because you will not need to depend on other organizations to manage your data and so on. But where the technology is not available, of which I think Nigeria is on its way, maybe to get in there, then you can make do with what you have for now and what others are doing while you're on your way, maybe trying to set up your own IT infrastructure. Yes. Okay,
now engineer Obeya, the concept of artificial intelligence is the rave of the moment now, and let me give you an example. The UK especially was able to use artificial intelligence to beef up its cybersecurity, and they just held their elections, which of course had most elements in terms of voter registration and validation done digitally. So in terms of artificial intelligence, how can Nigeria get on board and incorporate it? Because from what I gather, from my little understanding, artificial intelligence seems to be like the bedrock to ensuring that cybersecurity is non-negotiable.
Yes.
So how can Nigeria get on board?
Well, by training, and first, I also know that artificial intelligence, it is now the in thing, and it can manage any IT infrastructure as it is. And for us to get there, we need to begin to maybe train, all right, those who are interested, all right, in that pathway, to begin to get it from now. And in fact, the infrastructure is so huge and so big that once you begin to learn it and you get into it, in fact, there is no limit to what you can do as it is when it comes to AI.
It's all right. Now, Engineer Obeya, I would want us to look at another aspect where we're lagging behind. You know that other countries have gone into what is called digitized governance, e-governance. You don't need to be physically at work to do certain things.
Yes.
You don't need to be in your office to monitor what's happening. Let me give you a typical example. The director general of this corporation will not need to be here at the moment to watch whatever is happening here because he's connected to the system.
Yes.
Now, up to this level, do you think Nigeria has a database that it can reach out to its citizens in times of need? Reference to COVID-19. When contact was not supposed to be done and people were still looking out for people physically to give them food.
Yes.
Why in UK, in the United States of America, people were reached without physical contact? Using drones and all of that.
Yes.
How can we get to that level?
Well, we can get to that level by us actually investing more in those areas. Before COVID-19, all right, people really didn't realize that, all right, you could actually do so much with IT. Of course, before then, when you talk about working from home, people will not even understand what you are talking about, working from home. So the connectivity is not there. But if we invest, all right, in IT infrastructures and then with the right training, all right, offered to those who are willing to, of course we can actually do this. We can do this, and in fact, and then also to where you cannot. Okay, let me put it this way. For example, you gave an example of maybe delivering food or something with drones and the rest. Okay, if we in Nigeria are able to do that, then we first of all need to curb maybe the crime rate first. Because if you don't do that, supposing a drone that goes to deliver maybe something somewhere is hijacked, that drone does not return back to base. You cannot continue in business like that. So certain areas have to be looked into before you can even talk about embarking on such.
So we still have papers flying in every office.
Yes.
China has evolved in such a way that you get to an office and the highest paper you could see is your notebook.
Yes.
You can fold it back and fix it in your bag and you get going. You have your office installed on your notebook and whatever system you have.
Yes.
Back here in Nigeria, each ministry is full with papers. Each office is piled up with papers. So do you think it's still necessary when we have enough data available for us to utilize? Do you think this paperwork that we do every day is still needful in our country?
It's not needful. Like I said, it's the
So why are we still keeping them?
It's the willingness to invest in technology. Excuse me, please. It's the willingness to invest in technology that is the issue. If we are willing in Nigeria to invest in technology by acquiring the necessary software, the tools, and also the devices that will help us, all right, to manage our offices digitally, fine, we're up and doing. But where that willingness to invest in IT infrastructure is lacking, we'll never get there. They have recognized, all right, in advanced countries that IT, as it is, can help the nation grow in every aspect, including administration and the rest, in our business, in our offices and so on. So you may not need, to be in a place physically if the infrastructure is there, if the software is there for you to use, and if the knowledge is there, you may not need it.
Okay, yeah, we are still talking about the willingness to invest in technology. You may or you may not, but let me just pose this question. Some months ago, this is July, I think, like 3 months ago, in April, federal government was making proposals to have a new identity card, exercise being, churned out so that Nigerians can have their financial details in that on the current national identity card. Now it will have a chip that will put in your bank details, because I know in South Korea, in Japan, as well as in China and Taiwan, I want to believe in the UK as well.
Yes.
So you just use your phone anytime you go anywhere, you want to pay for something, use your phone and you scan.
Yes.
So I think that is where Nigeria is heading to. So do you think that with that proposal by the federal government to have a new identity card, management system, which will have your financial details as well as, other details as well, where you live and where you work as well, do you think that Nigeria is going to get on board in terms of having a cogent database, because whether we like it or not, like my colleague did mention here,
Yes.
we seem to enjoy the analog way of doing things because the papers are easy to manipulate, but you can't really do that with digital platforms.
Of course.
So do you think that having that new national identity card exercise is going to put Nigeria in the front burner in terms of streamlining threats to cybersecurity as well as data protection?
Yes, yes. Well, when Nigeria embarks on that, I think it's going to be the best thing that will happen to us in this nation. Because having to stay anywhere and then request data of a citizen, and you are getting it as it is raw, as it happens in other countries, is going to be a very big plus to Nigeria. And the way I see it is that Nigeria generally will have to invest in this. A deliberate investment will have to be carried out in order to actualize this. And for us to do that, we also need to train those who can manage this in that way. Where you lack, the people, all right, to manage this, then you run into problem.
Okay, Engineer Vera, you mentioned something critical as well, the lack of, the required personnel to be able to, ensure that we have this technology implemented.
Yes.
So, what do you think is happening in the ICT sector in terms of having the required personnel? Because we have talked of critical things here, cybersecurity, data protection, and management as well. You need specific people who have their expertise in this area. So, is the ICT sector in Nigeria, encouraging people to acquire these skills? Because whether we like it or not, we need to have Nigerians. Yes, Nigerians are doing well abroad, but we need to have Nigerians here who are skilled in this area so that we can upgrade.
Yes, Nigeria too has realized this, and everywhere, wherever you go to now, that is what people are talking about: acquiring digital skills. And the Nigerian government is also, all right, doing that, all right, encouraging people to acquire digital skills. Organizations are also doing it, everywhere. And also there is this World Bank project too that is there currently on this ideas project. Okay, of course, Good are also part of the trainers and the rest. They are also on it, and everywhere people are acquiring digital skills, because with digital skills, all right, you can do a lot, and you cannot be obsolete anytime soon with digital skills. So I think Nigeria has realized that they are training lots and lots of people. Government is investing in that area.
Okay, still speaking of digital skills, we have this concept of blockchain technology as well as cryptocurrency. Now, I would like you to give your own perspective as an expert, because there seems to be a positive and negative sides to these two concepts.
People are embracing blockchain and all that because of the advantages in it. First, if you want to look at it from negative aspect, all right, people may like to hide, all right, under this blockchain activity, because the activities may not be traced at any time soon, all right. And the positive aspect of it is that you can actually, all right, embark on maybe investments and the rest that you can realize so much from I think blockchain.
So
do you think it's the way to go, the blockchain business we're talking about?
Like I said, I do not wish to speak, to talk much on
but these are the areas we're having issues. That's why we expect you to deepen your conversation on this. Let's reference what happens with the MM.
Yes.
A lot of monies went down.
MMM?
Yes,
MMM,
yes.
yes.
Even senators partook in this.
Yes.
Chunk of resources from Nigeria,
Yes.
Vanished. Crypto, we have, lots of coins coming up now. People are madly going into this.
Yes.
Recently, one of the executives of Binance, I think is still in jail on account of this.
Yes.
And is this still this data management issues that we're talking about that has culminated into this? If Nigerians were managing their data properly, do you think we'll have this encroachment? Because it seems as these people get into the country without even proper registration and the regulation processes. So what do you think is the way to go? Do you advise youth to embrace it? And if you are saying no, what is making you say no to it, and what are the issues with?
Well, I'm saying no to it because the knowledge, all right, about maybe cryptocurrency and the rest is really not there yet. So it takes maybe somebody that have known a part of it to come and convince you to invest or do this or do that. And in fact, there is a current thing that is going on now. I don't know, they call it pressing also. If you get to certain places, you just find people tapping.
Okay, that hamster. You
Yes,
know
So
that
that's
hamster?
mining,
Yes.
mining of a.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, at least it's
a
still the
mining
same
game.
thing. Yes, it's still the same. But you find that people are being convinced.
Yes.
Okay, that the more you tap, the more
The more you make money.
The more you make money and the rest. And you are forced to leave what the legitimate thing you are supposed to do. You leave it and then spend so much time, all right, in tapping things that will not really make it. But you're making money for someone else. But this money will never ever get to you. They are in this industry. They know it. They know how to make this money. But they know that without you and I, all right, making input, this money will not come to them. So they convince people, all right, those who are vulnerable, they convince them and the rest to partake in it. But in the end, you don't get anything. Instead, you end up losing. So I think we really need to be schooled in this area before we can begin to perhaps embark on such.
So in essence, you're saying we are behind technology,
Yes.
technologically.
In that area, yes.
Now, tell us what we can do to advance our ways in terms of technology. Technology in certain nations is the way to go. Do you think we are on track? And if we are not on track, what do we need to do to be technologically advanced like other nations?
We are already on track. Nigeria is investing in technology now as it is. It's just, like I said, the willingness is just catching on slowly. But people are becoming aware. And once you become aware, you like to be trained in that area. So digital training, all right, and investment will actually, get us where we are supposed to go.
But do you think we're where we are supposed to be?
We are not where
As
we
a
are supposed.
nation.
As a nation, we are not where we are supposed to be. We are supposed to be far ahead, as it is. Bearing in mind that we have, the intellectuals, the experts, all right, in this area, and we are not actually using them.
Because why I'm saying this is that, Engineer Bear, you know that if you visit United States of America, you will hardly see a governor using paper to present a speech.
Yes.
It's a very simple thing.
Yes.
Why is it that we are that backward? Is it that we are not very informed in terms of how we can use our data, or how we can, manage or manipulate what we have as our data available? You see governors still flipping papers to take speech to the public.
Yes.
So what advanced ways do you think we should employ to have ourselves on track like other nations?
However you want to put it, is still that knowledge that is needed to be gained, even by maybe our government officials and the rest. Some of them do not even know what this computer is. They are high up there. They don't even know how to even operate the system. Also, you're giving them an iPad, then you tell they shy away from being trained, all right, digitally, and they are the ones that should lead the way. But if they don't know it, how do you now go to tell someone that look, come and do this because I have known this? So it's still that knowledge, that training. The government official, or can I say generally executives, need to be schooled, all right, in the use of digital technology.
What about the deliberate policy on the part of executive that,
That would-
they must incorporate
That would do.
information technology?
That will do. Yes, that deliberate policy will do.
Yes.
Yes.
Now let's reference China once more. Technology is the bane of what happens in Chinese government.
Yes.
Rather than make mathematics compulsory for everyone, it is technology that is made compulsory.
Compulsory, yes.
What is stopping Nigeria from having this kind of a thing? Don't you think this will further advance our knowledge of, technology and place us on a higher pinnacle than where we are? Is it bad if we have such a thing like technology is made compulsory across all schools?
It's not bad at all until we get away from this paper qualification thing in Nigeria and depend on, what you know. all right, the skill that you have acquired, bring it to the table. Leave maybe a certification, leave a paper qualification alone. Acquire a skill, bring it, and it will help you. I know in China, as little as maybe children are, they are already taught a trade. You find them going for apprenticeship and the rest, tutelage under, a particular trade as it is. And before they are out of school, they are already experts in the trade that they have picked up. So the training they have acquired in school is just going to help them to carry on.
It's okay.
Yes.
As an expert in this area for a very long time now, you have been a consultant for several years now.
Yes, sir.
What are the core issues you have identified with the Nigerian system that is making us lag behind technologically? I think you would answer that question when we return from the break very quickly. When we return from the break, Engineer Obeya will be speaking to us about what Nigeria will do to advance technologically and what has been the issues with managing database in the country. Let's go on the break. Welcome back to the program. This is Daybreak Benue on Benue Television, and we're here to take a look at data management and protection issues in Nigeria. And this is a vast area in information technology. A consultant, Engineer Dr. Obeya, is here feeding questions accordingly. Before we went on the break, we were trying to talk about what can be done to fix us properly on the trajectory of technology. And please, could you take it up from there?
All right. Well, we're saying that we actually can get to where other nations have got into technology, technologically, if we deliberately invest in these technological things and then train Nigerians in that area. And by the time we are able to, invest and then acquire, these devices or technologies and get people trained, you will find that we're already on our way. You do not actually need maybe to go and acquire a degree before you come back to be a skilled person in IT. At any point in time, you can pick up an IT skill and develop from that perspective. And also, once you're able to do that, you can also transfer this training even to others.
That's all right.
Okay, now, this, let me see, another part of information technology has to do with communications.
Yes.
And in 2000, we had NITEL. NITEL was unfounded, that we had private people come into the telecommunication space. We now had Airtel, we had MTN, then we had Etisalat as well, 9 Mobile,
Yes.
and we also have Globacom. Now, over the years, technology has evolved such that we had 3G, 4G, and now we are in 5G.
Yes.
But somehow, even though Nigeria seems to be on board with 5G, but 5G has not really been implemented, because if
Yes.
you look at the strength and depth of data services in Nigeria, it seems to be depreciating by the day.
Yes.
So what do you think is the problem? Why is it that in as much as other countries are now, flying 5G and might end up going to 6G, if I don't know if that's possible.
Yes.
Nigeria is still in 4G. What is the problem?
Well, I like to, of course, when these telecom companies came on board and the rest, it was essentially for communication purposes. Maybe issue of transferring data, with your phones and the rest was really something that you hear from afar.
Mm-hmm.
I'm able to say this because, of course, I was in NITEL and I knew how, we battled to transfer from the analog system to digital system. And once it came on board, of course, all these other companies, they also came. All right, they began to also can I say advocate for data transmission using your communication devices and the rest. And it was catching on, but of course, with Nigeria, things don't change the way, all right, you expect it to change, because you find that you like to cling on to the technology you have for a long time, even when this change is taking place. Now the infrastructures that you have will not be changed, so you only hear about it from afar. And once it comes into Nigeria, it becomes like an in thing, all right, strictly for maybe for the haves, all right, and then the have-nots will be looking at you as if it's it's something. But it's supposed things with technology doesn't have to be for those that have and those that do not have. It's a means of communication whereby you can use it to do a lot. Today we know that with the internet, it has affected us, the way we live, the way we play, the way we communicate, everything. It has to be deliberate, act, or can I say a willingness on the part of government to ensure that there are policies in place that will require, all right, maybe telecom companies and the rest to change this, all right, the infrastructures as technology changes elsewhere, so that we can be at par with other nations.
Now, the telecoms company, let me give you an example. MTN, for example, was talking about after profit tax, they from the statement that they released, they had lost like 30% of profit due to the economic, let me use the word my friends say, economic peppering that is going on in the country now. And not only that, these telecoms companies have been complaining of a lot of fines and taxes that they need to pay. So don't you think that there seems to be like a disconnect in that other countries are moving technologically at a faster pace than Nigeria? Yes, we have our own peculiar problems, but it seems like with the taxes and the fines that these telecoms companies are paying, they might not be able to put up those structures that would incorporate the current technology which is being used by other nations. And this is to our own disservice, because we are paying a lot for all this, because to make calls and data these days is not it's nothing cheap. It's not cheap. And then from all of this, you see that these structures that the telecoms companies ought to have are not in place. So don't you think that there needs to be something done, like in the immediate term, to ensure that these companies, in as much as they need to make profit, but they are not also on the losing side, so that these technological structures for the 5G technology, because we need that at this point in time. So don't you think that there needs to be like a leeway out for those telecoms companies on the part of government?
Yes, on the part of government, I think it should be first the economic situation we are in this nation. You cannot even buy diesel, all right, in order to maybe keep your IT infrastructure on for a long time. I know that, because of course, and then the high exchange rate that we have cannot even acquire any new technology to come in. So I think the government should deliberately, all right, perhaps intervene in the area of perhaps maybe the IT infrastructures, all right, that these organizations have. They can give them maybe either tax holiday or relief or any kind of thing, all right, that will make them to be able to change the IT infrastructure on the ground.
That's all right. So now, how can we use? You made mention of something here, which I would want to take you back to that. You talked about the haves having accessibility to data, and then as against the have-not.
Yes.
What can we do to? Is it possible to use information technology to bridge the gap between the poor and the rich?
Yes.
And if it is possible, how can we achieve it?
It's possible to bridge that gap. Okay, for example, I know that in India, there are settlements in India that have never, I mean, there are citizens within that community have not even gone out to the main city, but you find them being schooled in various disciplines through information technology.
Yes.
And some of those places you may need to maybe travel by train for several hours before you could get maybe to where civilization is. But right in there, in that community, that remote settlement, people are being trained, all right, in diverse disciplines. Where? Through technology. And it's a deliberate investment by, by India. And in India, there is, in fact, IT is like, you must know it before you know any other thing. That is what it is. So we can adapt that in Nigeria too. And to bridge this gap, we must not necessarily, all right, make people come from maybe other remote places to acquire. We can take this technology to them, even via communication technology.
Yes, but when you talk about this, bear in mind that China and the other technologically advanced nations that you have mentioned,
Yes.
are into production of both the hardware and the software
Yes.
of all of this we're talking about. And for
Yes.
data management and protection to be effective,
Yes.
the hardware and the software will need to be in place.
Yes.
We are not producing anything. Chinese government is producing a lot.
A lot. Yes.
Laptop computers,
Yes.
talk about phones, Android phones, and all of that.
Yes.
We have all of these things here, but we are not producing. Now, our dependence on other nations for these technological gadgets, don't you think is what is impeding us from our growth, anticipated growth in terms of technology?
Okay, in terms of technology, you see, Nigerians are willing to produce. But how can you produce when you don't have the resources to? All right. So in Nigeria, the process of acquiring maybe these technologies in order to produce the technology locally here is not there. And the Nigerian government will need to maybe put up a deliberate policy that can even advance, can make others to actually come to this country to produce locally here. For example, if you say, look, we will not buy from you again unless you come up and set up an industry that will produce this thing here. They are there to make money. They can actually come and put in here. But what happens when even those that maybe ask this technology company to set up here, have investment even with them? It will not happen. So that's just it. But I know that Nigerians are willing to produce here, but the environment to produce is really not there.
So what do we need to put in place? Because a state, a nation that is not producing cannot advance in terms of technology.
That's true.
You can't depend on people 100% and expect growth in terms of data management, in terms of information technology and all of that. What basically do we need to start doing? Because production must start from somewhere.
Of course.
So what do you think we should start with as a consultant?
Well, we should start, first of all, by realizing it, which I mentioned that Nigerians have realized that they needed to produce locally. But we cannot produce locally if the enabling environment is not in place. So the government should provide that enabling environment first of all, and then investors, all right, that will be able
When
to
you
do
talk
that.
about enabling environment, are you referring to security, or what exactly are you saying?
In
talking
fact,
about?
security, the resources that are required.
But don't we have the resources?
We have the resources, but going to acquire the resources is another thing. That is, for example, the resources is there by government and those who may give it. But how about you going to acquire maybe a loan from the bank in order to put up something? And this loan that you are even asking for, the return that is expected on it may be far much more than what you are even asking for. So you go and sit down, fold your arms. You will not invest. Okay, but when government comes to you and say, what do you require? And say, look, I require this, I need this to put, to go on. And
okay.
The government goes ahead to provide it.
It's okay. Let's bring this topic to Benue.
Okay.
Benue is an agrarian state that is known for agriculture. We produce a lot of food.
Yes.
Raw materials is what we are known for producing.
Yes.
But processing the raw materials is usually the problem. Let's leave that one out.
Okay.
How can we bring technology to the farms and transform, even if we were to deploy technology to our farms only, will be recognized globally.
Yes.
So what kind of technology do you think is supposed to be deployed to our farms to be able to leapfrog from where we are to a level where other nations will learn from us?
Okay, we can bring technology to our farms and the rest, all right, through the use of digital equipment that can control. Yes, digital equipment or digital devices that can control the farm infrastructure. Sorry, the farm machinery that we use on our farms. Today we have what we call Internet of Things, and with Internet of Things, you can actually check the growth of even your crop and the rest. You can also control and manage, your equipment that you use on the farm. So if we can deploy that to our farms, all right, and then with the right people managing it, I think we can actually produce more than we are producing now.
Okay. Engineer Bea, there's something that you said that caught my attention when you're talking about India. India is known to be the Silicon Valley when it comes to infotech, in
Yes.
terms of hardware, software,
Yes.
and you just name it. Now, in Nigeria, let me say that Lagos seems to be our own Silicon Valley,
Yes.
especially computer village. You find out that there's a lot of things happening there. People
Yes.
who God has blessed with, that innate skill that
Yes.
bringing out and doing a lot of things genuinely when it comes to technology. Coming down to Benue, we have, let me say, as far as I know, the little one that we have is around, the railway bypass here.
Yes.
That's our own small version of the
Small, yes,
computer village.
yes.
Now, how can we grow that to a more professional level in terms of people who are there? Because you find a lot of young men who are fixing phones and they didn't go
Fixing
to
phones,
school.
yes,
Some of them,
yes.
might get small training when they do apprenticeship, but you find out that majority of them are largely skilled in that. So how can we grow that little place at the railway bypass into a more structured environment so that we can reap off the benefits, and that will also increase the GDP of the state as well?
Yes, I think Benue State, for example, Benue State government, I think they have this company that is just starting up, and it's geared towards addressing that. So with that, I think for us in Benue, all right,
What's the name of the company?
BDIC.
Sorry for interrupting.
Yeah, BDIC, that's the name of the company. Yes, and I think just a few days ago was actually inaugurated or launched, and it's geared towards addressing that and taking, all right, this IT, all right, knowledge and infrastructure to all the local governments. From what I read of that.
So what's the full meaning, BDIC?
I think Benue Development. I think Benue Development. I can't remember the exact name, but that is what it is.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so do you think that this
It can
BDIC
address. It can,
is
yes.
going to address the issue
Yes.
when it comes to that that section of the market in terms of hardware fixing and as well as even software?
Yeah, from what they said, and I think our governor has the willingness to do that. So I think it can address that for us in Benue. It can address that. They're already on. I think the government is already on its way to training. I think 10,000 or so youths in Benue. All right, to focus in the skills that they can pick up.
Okay, from your
That's
expert opinion, because we use our phones every day, there are a lot of sites you might come up, even when you are not even on sites. If you click on something, another site pops up. So from your expert opinion, what is the best way for someone to be able to identify, let me not use the big word phishing, but a site that looks suspicious, that if you click on it, data that you have on your phone or anywhere that you have saved might be manipulated? What's the best way to identify such a site?
Okay, first, for you to identify such a site, you must first of all deal with yourself, because we are so gullible that every little prompt, all right, maybe that comes up on our phone, we want to follow it. And the very first thing you do is try to, all right, not to click on links that appear on your phones. But today we find that somebody will tell you that so and so industry, all right, is promoting or celebrating their 30 years anniversary. That click this link, all right, in order to win a prize or something. If we can just know that these things are false, they are not true, then first of all, we do well, by phone not getting being hacked. But that greed that is in people wanting to win when you have not invested, or sorry, wanting to get something that you have not invested, is there with people. And why? Because of the hardship. So you find people looking for ways, anything that they can get for free.
But how do they even find their ways? That's why I was talking about the porous nature of our data system.
Okay.
How do they find their ways into the platforms? These are registered, regulated platforms.
Yes.
How do these guys get to find their ways there
Okay. Well,
without being,
no. Now we're talking about hacking as it is.
Yes.
And a hacker will not just maybe hack a system without first of all having that knowledge. First of all, so they are people with knowledge. They know these things. They are experts in it and the rest. And now they depend on the gullibility of the people to make them fall for this, track. Okay. Well, we I think in Nigeria we call it 419 also, but the official name for it is social engineering. So the social engineer people, that is the official name. The social engineer people getting you to willingly part with what ordinarily you will not part with, and that's just what it is. So somebody gets to talk to you on the phone, and through some kind of manipulation, gets you to maybe read out a 4 or 6-digit character. Not knowing that that person is just waiting because you are not the owner of the phone, and there's this two-factor authentication that requires that you must have your phone. Now they have sent the link, all right, the numbers, the authentication numbers, but because they don't have the phone, they need to reach your phone. So they come up with the guys in order to make you read these numbers to them. And the moment you read it to them, it's assumed that you're the owner of the phone.
Yes.
So are you saying
now it has brought us to this? Tell us about this OTP, because this is where the final thing happens.
Yes.
A lot of persons have emptied their accounts just on request that they should provide an OTP.
OTP, yes.
And it's usually the commonest practice around here.
Yes.
How do they get to a point where they request for the OTP? And why is it that people are not so much aware that once it's OTP is headed towards having you fraudulently swindled? So
Yes.
what do you think people should do to be even able to protect themselves from this issue of requesting for OTPs to be sent to third parties?
Okay, the best way you can protect yourself is first of all by knowing that, all right, these things can take place. All right, this awareness needed to be created. If people are not aware, somebody can come and impersonate and tell you that it's a bank official, is this or that, and create fear in you. And this fear, there's nobody that wants to lose his money in a hurry. And if you don't provide this is what will happen. So this one-time password that is requested, from people and the rest, people need to be educated that unless you initiated something, do not give away anything. For example, if I didn't initiate something that will warrant my giving a password or some kind of code that is requested of me, then why should I give it? I should not give it. We need to be educated, and that's what we call cyber security awareness. People need to be aware. If you are not aware of it, then what do you do, and how can you be protected from what you don't know?
Now, speaking of cybersecurity awareness, it also brings to mind the concept of the dark web.
Okay.
Because hacking doesn't happen like that.
No.
There is an environment in which that hacking is promoted and even engineered. So tell us a little bit about the dark web as an expert, as a consultant over the years.
All right. When I earlier mentioned that whatever you value, you protect. And you protect it with some kind of ring of security that you build around about your assets. And why? Because there are threat actors that are really needing your assets. They need to get through this your security. And the concerning the dark web. Now this data that have been maybe generated and kept and then has become an asset to someone needed it somewhere. And all right, the tools and the rest that may be required for all right, them to have access to this data may not be available openly, maybe as a software to buy or to even learn about on the internet. So you depend on the dark web, and the dark web is nothing but the internet still. But then we use special kind of browsers and things that are not indexed by crawlers, that is search engines and the rest. Those servers and the access to it are not indexed. So, and you really, you need these browsers and the rest to do that. So those that use the dark web, they have these tools that they use are different from the normal tools that you and I use on the regular internet, even though it's the same internet. Yes, it's like they have a different highway, all right, within the highway.
Okay, so
So more of the exposure on what the Yahoo that is very popular in Benue.
Yes.
What do they actually do to defraud the people? Because it is as if there are people operating in their own word, and until they are apprehended, we do not know how they manipulate the people to come to a point where they swindle monies from these people. So what are the commonest activities that the people need to be aware so that they will prepare themselves against them?
Okay, like I mentioned, the activities that we know about here
Yes.
is what we call the 419.
Yes.
And that 419 is actually as a result of...
So you said social engineering.
Yes, social engineering,
Yes.
and it's as a result of a penal code law that is put in place against such that the name derived from in Nigeria. Now, for a hacker or for a 419er to be successful in what they do, they first of all embark on what we call reconnaissance. And reconnaissance is the first stage of hacking. They study their target in order to know what information they can get. They just don't sit down and then begin to hack for the fun of hacking. No, they actually pick targets. And once they pick...
How do they select their targets? I want us to take this step by step, because this is what is happening every day in this region.
Okay, in selecting targets, first of all, you may need to have a purpose as to why you want to do that. If your target is to perhaps maybe pilfer money from people's account or steal money from people's account, then you begin to want to learn about how you can acquire their debit cards or these ATM cards. You may want to know how, all right, their cards come about. So they infiltrate even banks and everywhere in order to get this knowledge. Without this knowledge, you cannot do anything. They must acquire this knowledge from. When I say knowledge,
Yes.
I'm talking about the information that they need in order to,
Do you think
to
they have
embark.
corroborators from the banks?
Some do, some they do not. They have the software and the rest to even do that. They can infiltrate, banks. They infiltrate anywhere they want to infiltrate, depending on the kind of software that they have. And some of these software are so sophisticated that you'll be amazed. Okay, for example, all I need maybe for us, maybe for me to hack your own system now, is to create a link that and then kind of invite you to click that link, and I can paint a picture. I even maybe send you a mail, just ordinary, email that I receive, and I'll ask you to click this link to download a particular software or item or whatever. And once you download it, you're already hooked. And some dedicate you to click on this link. Once you click on the link, your own system will be the system that will be contacting their server.
So in essence, what you're saying is that the most dangerous thing to do in the cyberspace is clicking on links.
Yes, and you are advised not to just click links.
But some
that
links
you
will
do not
lead you
know.
to success.
But that is the thing. You must know what you are clicking. You're clicking. For example, how can you click a link that you didn't initiate? Or someone, maybe you just, and then someone, says, okay, someone calls you and then tells you about some fantastic offers. And then because you like the offer and the rest, you begin to follow.
So
Now,
are there no
you
softwares to detect fraudulent links?
There are softwares to detect fraud.
Why are they not available to the people?
Is this knowledge is available, but people do not use it. For example, you see, we have phones in our, I mean, sorry, we have laptops and the rest with our system, install operating systems on it. These operating systems are also there, and we update all the time. There are software that are there to even detect when, all right, any kind of hacking may even be coming in. And sometimes, okay, for example, a firewall on Windows now, if you are using a Windows system, a firewall on Windows, all right, you can actually configure it such that it can reject certain sites and then allow certain sites, even for you to browse. It's there. But when you don't have the knowledge of even how to do it, how do you do it?
Which of the
So-
browsers is more protected?
All,
Offers more protection.
all the browsers have that. The major browsers that we have, all right, that we use within, all right, Nigeria here, all right, I think we use three major browsers, and I do not want to mention names. We are not maybe publicizing, but I know that we have that, all right. And these browsers, they are protected, and all you need to do is to update your system. But because this update sometimes takes our data, and we don't want our data to be used, or maybe we don't want to expend our data in code the way we want it. You say no. Once the update comes, you just click to cancel. But that is the best protection that you can offer to your system.
So the
because
key thing is to update
your
with
system.
your systems and your
Yes,
phones as
your
well.
phones.
Any gadget you are using.
Yes, update is the best form of protection that you can offer to your technological devices.
But
That's
are you also saying that without, like you said, when the hackers need to hack your information, in as much as they are using their own, non-indexed, highways and
Yes,
softwares,
yes.
they still need some internal collaboration. Now, that internal collaboration cannot happen if the individual is not inclined. Like you did, let me use you an example. Somebody
Okay.
calls you and tells you that, oh, I was going through my mail, I saw your name,
Yes.
and there's a money that somebody left somewhere, and your name is also, the same thing with my
Yes.
name. If you are not inclined to be greedy, because you know very well that that cannot be you,
Yes.
but you end up, agreeing to the
Uh-huh.
person, and then you end up, doing whatever the person requires. So,
Yes.
in other words, you are saying that apart from the regular updates, the person's individual inclination to greed too is also
Yes.
one of the
It's
primary reasons why hacking.
It's a major factor.
So can you say that is the primary reason for the level of advanced fee fraud, or let me say social engineering that we're having in Benue?
Yes. The greed, and they need to make it fast. All right. We make us to do things online that ordinarily we are not supposed to. Otherwise, somebody comes and tells you have won a lottery. You know yourself that there was no time you bought a lottery ticket. So why would you agree that you have won a lottery? So you need to check yourself. You need to check that there are some of these things, even though it's possible, it does not come easy. Money is not meant to be picked from the street, as it is. You need to go and work for it. So we don't want to work for this money. We want to just win it. So everywhere people are winning, and the same thing that is going on. In fact, those that don't go by this method, they go by this other method that they go to. I think in those days they call it pool. They go to pool, but today it's no longer pool. They are using technology to achieve the same purpose. So if we find maybe 1-2 person, as soon as he grabs any money, he's running to a betting shop somewhere.
So what can you say as a consultant regarding the phenomenon of Bet Niger? Let me say specifically, because Bet Niger has metamorphosed into other things. When I say Bet Niger, you know what I'm talking about,
Yes.
betting.
Yes.
What can you say? Because this get-rich-quick syndrome seems to be the underlying reason for having these betting sites.
Yes.
So what can you say as an expert? Because whether we like it or not, it has a negative side to it.
Plenty of it. It has a negative side. And it's just this get-rich-quick syndrome that Nigerians are quickly, embracing, which is not correct. We need to, all right, work harder. All right, we don't need to lie down and then go and win. No, you don't just get little money and you run to a bet shop and then you go and stake your money there and then hoping to win big the next time. All right, it's not so. Use that money you are putting into maybe betting and the rest. Use it for other things.
Now, shouldn't we be worried about cybersecurity threats from betting? Because Binance too was also into this kind of thing, and then
Yes.
it was now discovered that a group of hackers now logged onto their system and did what they were not supposed to do.
Of
So
course.
shouldn't we be worried about the threat of cybersecurity attacks from this betting institution? Let me say betting.
We should be worried about cybersecurity attack on every aspect of technology that we use, because with hacking, you may not actually be the target, but you can be used to reach a target, and that is what hackers do. They for them to get into a system. Okay, let me give you a typical example. If I needed to maybe hack a company across the road, and I know that, all right, I cannot enter into the company because of security and the rest, and I'm also not a staff. You know, I can deploy some other means. All right. You see, nobody. If you see a flash now, the first thing you do is want to know what is inside the
Yes.
flash. You know, I can through either social engineering or through reconnaissance know where the staff of that organization go maybe to have their lunch. I can go there and drop a few flash here and there. I'm already on my way getting into that organization because I know somebody that may be needing a flash badly just found one. That person will not announce that, oh, I found a flash. That person will quickly just, pick it, put it in the pocket, then walk across. As soon as he just gets to the, let me see what's on this flash. That is all I need you to do as a hacker. I'll need you to just insert that into your system, and your system is already connected on the infrastructure of the company. So once the flash is in there, the malware that is on that flash will get transferred onto the system, and that's the end.
That's all right.
Yes.
Now, Engineer Obey, I would want us to hit the nail on the head now. It has been alleged that the people who perpetrate these crimes that we're talking about, the cyber crimes that we're talking about,
Yes.
are people like you.
Okay.
Reason being that it takes sound knowledge to be a social engineer that will engineer every environment and get what they want.
Yes.
And it's also alleged that the syndicates that are into this advanced fee fraud and the 419 social engineers and all of that we're talking about
Yes.
are bettered by you, people like you. When I mean you, I say people
No, I
like you, because
understand, yes.
it takes training to do that.
Yes. Okay.
Is it true that it's the experts that are behind all of these things that we're talking about? And if that's the truth, have you at any point in time tried doing a similar thing by yourself?
Okay. In the area of cybersecurity,
Yes.
now when we train people on cybersecurity, the first thing that we teach, in cybersecurity is the ethics of the profession. We teach ethics, and we say, in order to catch a thief, we need to learn, and then put your mind, in
Yes.
place of the thief in order to catch a thief. That is, what we actually, first of all teach. And we cannot say it's perpetrated by maybe experts and the rest. Yes, these experts, they know it, but we have something, have them in categories. There are those that learn this for a purpose. Why? The purpose is for them, maybe after learning, to go and become a black hat. And black hats are those, of course, that we go hack a system for their own motive, maybe for money and the rest. That is their own part. But you also have white hats, and these white hats are the people that actually, learn about, or they know these systems in order to defend, what the black hats, try to perpetrate. So that's just it. So we cannot say that these people do not know it. No, we know it. We teach.
We're also told that you are aware of where you can get these boys. But you have decided to leave them to be there.
No. You cannot say that somebody knows where these boys are. There are some persons that are trained. You don't know what they do. until they come out to tell you that
Because
this
it's
is what
difficult.
you are
It's difficult to say that one who has trained a criminal wouldn't know where is the hideout of such a criminal.
Well, I will not say it works that way. All right. If a criminal that you, maybe when you trained, you do not know he's a criminal. You do not know why he has come to train. Okay. But you have trained because you want to impart this knowledge. Like I said, all right, teach someone, all right, to do things or make someone to think like a thief so that he can catch a thief. You are really not going to be doing anything bad in order to impart knowledge. But what that person chooses to do with the knowledge that you have trained that person with is strictly, all right, going to be what the person has chosen to do.
Okay, now,
Yes.
Engineer Obera, you mentioned something, the black hat and the white hat. Now,
Yes.
having mentioned that, it is safe to say, and also, not to assume, to say that we have a network
Yes.
of the dark hats in Nigeria. When I mentioned the dark web,
Yes.
it's a community of these faceless people
Yes.
who go about hacking.
Yes.
So, giving your your foray into the information technology field and your years of expertise, so to speak, what can you say about the dark web in Nigeria? Because whether we like it or not, it is an organized network
Of course.
where
of course.
all this hacking and malwares are being done. So, what
Of
can you
course.
say about that network in Nigeria?
But you know that there are recruits everywhere.
Definitely.
Okay, and available to be recruited. And once you go out, you search for those that have similar like minds in order for you, all right, to band together. So just like maybe you can create your own community, all right, of experts in certain fields, they also create their own community, and they know how to get theirs. Maybe they know how to get their recruits, so to say. But there are those who are willing, all right, to join that profession, and they ask, if I have to join it, what do I do? They say, you must go and learn. Okay, let me example. I think in my lecture hall one day, or I was teaching, one young guy, and all he's interested is when will he get to the stage where he can use, all right, the labs. Okay, that is of course, if you teach cybersecurity, you don't just go out to do that. You have your own lab or a virtual lab created that you can, do all this. So all his attention is focused, on when he can get to begin to practice this. And we recognize that, and we told him, no, it's not so. And at another time, I think a parent brought a young boy wanting to learn cybersecurity, who had to advise the parents, say, no, at this age, you cannot get your child or your ward, all right, to learn something like this.
What age was that, if I may ask?
Yes.
What age was that, if I may ask, of the child who was brought in?
I think about 14 to 15, thereabout. So we told him, no, you cannot.
And why did you say no? Because 14, 15 is assumed that at least you are still, you're a child of reason and you can definitely pick up.
Yes, but we also know that once in the course of your training someone, all right, in certain disciplines, that person has a mind of his own.
Yes.
And he also knows that, I can use this in certain areas.
Okay.
So why do you need to, all right, prompt, such a child or such a person?
Okay, can
to
be
begin
easily
to-
influenced.
Of
That's
course,
what you mean.
yes, of
okay,
course.
so do you think that Nigeria at the moment is capable of dealing with this network of dark web? Let me give you an
Yes.
instance, because we have the Pentagon, and the reason we hear about Binance so much is because the Pentagon was studiously following him for years and discovered that there was a group of hackers who had logged into his system and did most of the hacking that he did.
Yes.
So do you think Nigeria at the moment is equipped to be able to handle any threat from that dark
We are
community?
getting there. We are getting there. Yes, there are lots of experts in Nigeria now in cybersecurity that are able to do more than you're even thinking about. And all you also need to do is to get the right technology to do this. And there are technologies that can actually prevent data. What we call perform data protection for you. There are technologies that are also there. There are also technologies that can actually detect even when an attack is going to take place.
That's
There
right.
are technologies that are there.
That's all right. Let's get back to AI, where we'll round up on this discussion. AI seems to be the latest
Yes.
in technology, and as much as we are celebrating it, some of us are scared. don't you think AI is coming to take the place of humanity? Don't you think it's threatening our job places?
Okay.
And if it does, what are we going to do to compete with AI? Because AI, as we can see, we have driverless cars now everywhere.
Yes.
A lot is happening. There are planes that have started flying without, a pilot.
Yes.
What do you think should be done in terms of AI? Are you an advocate of AI?
I think anyone in technology, all right, should be an advocate of AI, because apart from, all right, the areas that AI maybe shine, in the sense that you find driverless, all right, vehicles, you find things getting done and the rest, you need to also have the knowledge, all right, to be able to put these things together. The AI system, as you even see it, of course, the programs are written by human beings. And without human beings in place, these programs cannot even write themselves, no matter how much you want to think about it.
But aren't these programs susceptible to manipulation? Because it's human beings
Of
that
course,
wrote them,
of
and these
course.
are machines.
Yes.
So in as much as we're advocating for AI, don't you think that there should be like a line that, that also has to border on ethics and morality
Of course,
that
in
field?
everything, ethics should come up first, all right? And this ethics of can promote the do's and then the don'ts of every discipline. So if we strictly follow the ethics of any profession, all right, these problems that we even fear of will not even arise in the first place.
That's all right. So you are in support of AI 100%.
Yes.
That's all right. Well, I must thank you so much, Engineer Dr. Obeya, for being here this morning to speak to the Benue people and Nigerians on what they need to do in terms of information technology and data management and protection. It was what, hearing from you. We appreciate you so much for coming.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, we would have to take a break at this point so that we take a flip through the papers, and thereafter we'll call it a wrap on the show. And so please stay with us. It's still Daybreak Benue on Benue Television. Welcome back to the program. This is Daybreak Benue on Benue Television. We're taking the papers briefly and thereafter we'll say goodbye. Let's begin with the Daily Trust newspaper. The banner headline says, Share protest, Tinubu begs Nigerians. Violent protests, ill-advised IGP. And of course, citizens have constitutional rights to complain, says Atiku. And then we have again here, CBN raises interest rate by 50 basis points to 26.75. And a man sentenced to life in prison for raping 8-year-old deaf girl. The ripples of a proposed inclusion of foreigners in Nigeria's NIN registration. You can find that on page 3. And that's all coming from the Daily Trust newspaper.
And from the Nation, above the newspaper masthead, we have NPA, that is Nigerian Ports Authority, rakes in 541 billion naira revenue, remits 255 billion in first half of 2024, says outgoing MD. Coco hands over new staff clinic, 5 other completed projects to successor. This is on page 3. Now, the lead story here, of course, still on the protest. Tinubu to protest planners, shelve idea, await our response. One of the kickers, I beg your pardon, one of the riders, no room for violent protests, says IG. Cross River yet to recover from EndSARS. Wiki plan is politically motivated. This is on page 2. Now, another story here, minimum wage bill as awaits Tinubu's assent, is on page 3. The last picture story, or let me say the picture story here has to do with investment prospect by Dangote in Gabon.
All right, and so let's also take a look at Blueprint newspaper here, and we have this one that says, Nuns, Murik, others back out of protest. Tinubu begs youth, holds government responsible for hardship. APC tells Nigerians, planned demonstration political gimmick, and it says Wiki. And then we also have this one, after 6.2 trillion naira supplementary appropriation, defense agri top 2004 budget. And this one, $418 million Paris Club refund. Court phase to include states and in federal government suits. You can find that on page 6 of the paper. And so that's all coming from the Blueprint newspaper.
From the Daily Sun, still on the minimum wage, NAS passes bill in record time. This is on page 27, just opposite the newspaper masthead. The lead story here as well has to do with the protest. Tinubu moves to avert protest, begs youth. A lot of other riders to it. You'll find this and more on page 6. Cardoso lists causes of economic woes, says CBN will return money in dormant accounts to rightful owners. This is on page 25. And then the last one here, allegation over protest. Obi angry, demands apology, retraction from Onanuga. This is on page 26. This is the last one. I beg your pardon, the last one. Carry days Dangote to name NNPC officials who own petroleum blending plant in Malta. This is on page 21, and that's it from Daily Sun.
All right, that's all, and this is where we have to say goodbye. I must appreciate you so much for the smooth ride on the show this morning.
Same here, Japheth.
Very many thanks. And so this is where we have to say goodbye. Many thanks to those at the back room for ensuring that it was a smooth transition. And so remember, Benue Television News is coming up at 9. So keep watching Benue Television. My name is Japheth Kwaho.
Thank you for staying with us for the smooth running of this show. Hope you have a pleasant day. Stay tuned for the rest of the programs. My name is Maureen Young.
Welcome to the exciting world of Benue Television, where we give you an exclusive